What's up guys, Bailey here. Today I have a full back workout for you, and this is part of my DLB Daily program, and right now we are doing an entire month for free. In that, if you sign up, we're also doing an 8-week transformation for 2021. And if you join the transformation challenge, we're doing weekly prizes and we're doing an all-inclusive trip to come out to Montana and come train with me. So if you like this workout and you want to transform your body this year, let's make 2021 the best year yet together. Let's go. Follow along. All right, on back day, I always train my rear delts as well. So they get trained on delts, and then they also get trained on back day, because where are your rear delts? They're on your back, they're behind you. So because it's a body part that I think most people lag on, I like to start with it. So this little set that we're doing, it's 2 exercises. I will be using a seal row. Now, I know most gyms don't have this amazing, we actually built this ourselves, but you can also make your own seal row just using a flat bench, and then you get like those little steppers and you elevate. It might be easier, once I explain what we're doing with the barbell, it might be easier to do dumbbells with both exercises. So we're doing a seal wide row, so elbows will be super wide. I want your elbows to be super wide so you're not tucking them. Not that tucking them is bad. That's going to be a little bit more of your lower back and lats, but we're going to go upper back, traps, and rear delts. You can also do this just even on like a low incline. So get your incline bench and put it on like kind of the lowest setting, and then you'll just lean forward over that. So you might not be completely horizontal, but that's okay. You can still do the same movement. Now, seal row takes your lower back completely out of everything. Takes your legs out, takes your lower back out. So this is a pure like not isolation, because we're using several muscle groups to lift the weight, but it's kind of like you're isolating because you're taking some of them out, which you would normally use on a regular basis. To hit our rear delts a little bit more, so even if you have dumbbells, I want you pulling up high. So up towards like your clavicle, if everyone knows your clavicle is up here, up high, basically so that your elbows stay nice and wide, almost like a 90-degree angle. So if you have your dumbbells, you just come up and then bring your elbows nice and wide. If you want to hit lats a little bit more, if lats are like more of a lagging body part, then you would tuck your elbows in and come back. This is going to be more of a set for our upper back and rear delts. So we're doing elbows high and wide. So if you have something like this, you can use a barbell. If you don't, just use dumbbells. So we're just pulling up and wide. And because we're laying completely flat, it takes your lower back completely out of it. So if you have any kind of lower back problems, this is a great one. Now I'm doing the little switcheroo. So we're setting this with reverse flies also on the seal row. Again, you can make your own seal row or just use an incline bench. So how you do your flies is completely up to you. If you like to keep your palms facing each other, that's fine. I kind of do like a little rotation so that at the top, my pinkies are out. So palms together, pinkies up. Woo! And just like that. We're gonna go from a 12, 10, and then 8 rep range here. So 12 is a little bit higher, but I want you working up to like a heavy 8 reps. This 10 to 12 reps. 4 sets. Go. All right, so next up we have a little tri-set. So we have 3 exercises all at the cable using the rope. So we're gonna go from a straight arm pull down to a high underhand row, high cable underhand row, and then we're gonna go to a low cable row. So with a straight arm pull down or pull through, the biggest thing is actually pulling with your lats. So if you're starting to feel it in your shoulders more than your lats, you're not doing it right. You wanna feel it in your lats. I've said this before, if you've been following me for a while, everything will start with contracting those lats down. So if you wanna practice, get the cable, take a step back, make sure the plates aren't touching. So this would be my lats are completely relaxed, and now I'm kicking them down. So this would be your starting position. Your shoulders should never just be like relaxed up. So you're gonna contract your lats down, your shoulders will be pushed down, your traps will be pushed down, and that's where you're gonna start the move. So already right here, I can feel my lats contracting because I'm holding it in place. So it's basically like a little iso hold here. And then you'll be keeping our arms straight and then pulling back as far as you can. And then that's where you would stop. So any bit higher, that's where you're relaxed. So your stopping position is wherever you start that contraction. So here I'm relaxed, contract my lats down, shoulders are down, traps are down. So this is where you stop. You're basically gonna stop horizontally. So anything higher, your shoulders are gonna relax, your lats are gonna relax. So we're gonna go anywhere from 8 to 12. So generally I stick to like, so this is more of like a higher volume day. So I stick to like a 10 to 12 rep range for anything, but because we're all in the same spot, and I don't always like to switch the weight, so I'm going to go from this straight arm pull down to a high cable underhand row. I'm not even going to switch the weight. So if I can do a little bit more, I'll do a couple more reps with that. So let's go through a couple more. Contract down and straight arm back. When you get to the end of the rep, just hold for a second and really squeeze those lats. Once you get 10 to 12 there, then we're gonna switch to an underhand row. I'm not even gonna switch the weight. I'm gonna go right into it. So it starts in that high position, and then you're gonna be pulling under your chest. As you come down, you're gonna internally rotate your wrists, internally rotate your wrists so that you end up with your palms facing up. Elbows are gonna be nice and tucked right to your side and pull back. So keeping that super tight contraction here is really gonna hit your lats. So you're coming from this high position into a low position. It almost feels like, it's almost like a dumbbell pullover, but on a cable, and then we're rotating. Hold for a second, and then release up. This one, you can allow your lats to stretch out for this one. So before we were keeping that contraction on the whole time. This time, you can let them stretch out and then come back. So this one you're allowed to let them stretch. So stretch all the way out, chest up, elbows back. And then last but not least, take a couple steps back so the plates aren't touching. And then again, we're gonna keep our elbows tucked and elbows back, tucked and back. And that will be your little tri-set. So straight arm pull through, high underhand row, and then a low row. All right, next up we'll be at a lat pull down. So you'll need a wide grip lat pull down. Now we're gonna do it a little bit differently than you normally do a pull down. So we're gonna do alternating, kind of like a single arm pull down, but both arms are gonna be on your lat pull down bar. And then we're just gonna alternate back and forth. I should probably lighten it so I'm not killing myself trying to explain this to you. So again, do like a wider grip. Now to alternate, you're gonna pull from one side. So instead of normally just pulling down like here, we're gonna be coming back. So you're gonna be hitting those lats, rhomboids, a little bit of everything, a little bit of the entire back. So think of it as like, it's almost like a row. You're doing a row from a lat pull down. So alternating sides, we're gonna go one side at a time and then alternate back and forth. So elbows coming back and down, raise that up, and now we're going to go to the other side. Once we get about 8 per side, if you can still go, now you're obviously going to be stronger with 2 together, so you should be able to rep out a couple, maybe like 5 or 6 reps together of your normal lat pull down. And then we're not done from there. We're then going to drop the weight a little bit. I just dropped it. Keep your hands nice and wide. Now the reason I turn behind me, so we're gonna do a behind the neck pull down. The reason I pull behind me is when I sit, if you look at where the angle of the pulley's coming down, it's behind me. So if you sit this way, you have to pull like at an angle to get it behind you. And I don't want you pulling at an angle. I want you coming straight down. So it's gonna feel a little bit better on your shoulders. So I lighten the weight enough that it's not gonna pick me up. And then you're gonna be keeping nice, try to keep a nice neutral spine. So you don't want your neck down, you don't want it up. Just try to keep your head in a neutral position. And then you're just bringing the bar back behind your head. Really focus on trying to get those elbows straight down to your side. Now, anyone that has ever like that, I know there's people out there that are like, oh, that's such a bad exercise, it's terrible for your neck and shoulders. And if you feel anything, if you have any kind of impingement in your shoulder, maybe a behind the neck is not the best thing that you can do, but if you're healthy and you're doing appropriate weight with good form and keeping your head in that neutral position, this is a phenomenal exercise because I feel like it just isolates the lats a little bit more. So when it's out in front, obviously you lean back a little bit, you're gonna be pulling back a little bit, you're stronger from that position. When you're just bringing it straight down, it's a little more lat isolation. So that's why we lighten it, and to keep that pulley coming straight down, that's why I turn. So we're gonna alternate. So alternate anywhere from 6 to 8 reps. Once you get 6 to 8 reps alternating, so 6 to 8 on this arm, 6 to 8 on this arm. If you can get another 5 or 6 together, get 5 or 6 together front way, then we're gonna drop the weight, turn around, behind the neck. All right, next up, we are doing a little more single arm unilateral movement. We're gonna be twisting and then doing arms together. It's just all of it. So much of back day has a lot of focus on where your elbow is. So if you notice on every exercise, I'm telling you like where your elbow is, because if it's low and tucked, it's gonna hit lats. If it's high and wide, that's gonna be upper back and rear delts. So we're gonna do the same thing, focusing on your elbow placement. We're gonna start with unilateral, so doing one arm at a time, which again, it's nice to focus on one side at a time, especially if you have any especially on a back. They're usually, like, you can tell, like when you do a back double bi, like one side might be a little bit more defined than the other, one's lat might be a little bit bigger. So if you have any irregularities in your back, doing one arm at a time and really focusing on that lagging side, always start with your lagging side. So if your left side's a little bit weaker, maybe you need to bring your lats out a little bit more. If you do any unilateral stuff, always start with the left. And however much weight or how many reps you do, if you do 10 reps on your left, starting with your left, and you get to your right and you get to 10, you could probably do more. You don't do more, you stop. And over time, that's why dumbbells and any kind of free weights are really good, because it helps work on those like lagging sides so that you can build up symmetry. So that's what bodybuilding is all about, is building symmetry. So enough talking, let's do it. So if you have, I feel like most gyms will have some sort of seated row. Hammer strength, plate loaded, you can use a machine. This is also a plate loaded. So I'm using the Prime one because it just moves so good. But this would be another variation. This is Arsenal, but I feel like every gym has like a hammer strength seated row. So you're pulling straight to you. So we're gonna do one arm at a time. This is nice because it has two different handles. So here, the first part, we're gonna be focusing on keeping that elbow down, tucked, and behind you. So instead of pulling up wide, which is more rear delts and upper back, we're gonna keep that elbow tucked and low and straight behind you. So that will focus on lats. So the first part will focus on lats, second part will focus on upper back and rear delts. So we're gonna do one arm at a time. These are great if you have something that has some oscillation to it. I love being able to turn, because I usually start with an overhand grip, and then as I come back, I pull into a neutral grip, or sometimes even keep twisting and pull into a underhand grip. I always get supine and prone all mixed up, so I don't say it. So I like to pull back in a neutral position. So as I'm going, keep that elbow nice and low, tucked, and you pull it straight back behind you as far as you can, but without turning. So the reason this is here is to keep your chest on it the whole time. Right, Kaya? Keep your chest on it the whole time. So if you find yourself leaning and like part of your chest comes off, that means you're twisting too much, you're using your abs too much. You want to keep your chest on it the whole time and then pull back as far as you can. So we're gonna go 8 to 10 reps on this side, then we'll switch it. We'll go 8 to 10 on this side. We're then going to double it. You might be able to add some weight, but generally whatever we do on this, because we're already pre-exhausting, even though we're adding another arm, you're already pre-exhausted. So you might not even have to change the weight at all. So now we're gonna grab with both hands. Now your focus will be on keeping your elbows high and wide. So I'm not going to even change. I'm gonna keep an overhand grip the whole time. And then squeeze, and try to squeeze those shoulder blades together. Pretend you're trying to touch your two shoulder blades together. So here, this will be focusing on that upper back, traps, and rear delts. So elbows wide here. So here's the difference. If you want to keep hitting lats, bring your elbows down low, which is fine, but we just did that. So we're changing it up, elbows high. And then you'll do another 8. I'll say 8 to 12 because you might be able to do a little more reps because you're adding another hand. So let's go over to the cable and I'll show you what you can do there. Now, if you do not have any type of machine, usually those machines are going to have a variety of grips. So you'll be able to do that low and tucked variation, and then there's usually another grip where you can grip up higher, so you can do that wider. Now with this, it's going to be a little bit harder to do the wider. My suggestion would, if you can, you just bring another bar with you and then switch out the attachment so that you could do a wider grip. If not, I would just grab a V-bar. You'll do your single arm. Whoa, that's really heavy. My God. You'll do a single arm on this side. You just don't have the chest support. But try to imagine that you want to keep your chest facing forward the whole time. So if you're turning this way the whole time, you're just adding in a lot of obliques and a lot of core, which is not bad, but the focus goes away from your back and goes more towards your core because you're doing so much twisting. So try to keep your chest forward and then focus on bringing that elbow back. So you'll do 8 to 10 reps here on that side. You'll switch around. You'll do 8 to 10 on this side, keeping that low and elbow tucked. And then you'll do 8 to 10, and then just try to like widen. So instead of pulling down this way, you're gonna pull up a little bit wider, and then elbows will come straight back instead of tucked. So that's just a different variation if you do not have a machine version. Both are very good. All right, the final exercises, because nothing's ever by itself, is a little combination of everything. So we're gonna be hitting our lower back now, focusing on our lower back, while also getting some rows in, and then hitting our rear delts to finish off. Now, we're gonna be holding a hyperextension. So hyperextension, we've used these for our butts or our backs. Now for our backs, normally if we're just training butts, I tell you to keep rounded and keep your head forward. Now, I want you extending all the way up so that you're making a straight line. So right now, my lower back is completely engaged to try to keep this position. And then we're gonna add weights, so it's going to try to bring you down. So in turn, you gotta squeeze your butt. So we're gonna be getting our legs a little bit, hamstrings, butt, lower back, and then we're also gonna be hitting a row as well. So if you do not have a hyperextension, you'll just be using an incline bench. Now, you're not gonna have the benefit of the glutes and the hamstrings. This actually takes your lower back out of it. At least for the rows, I would just use an incline bench. The only problem is you're not gonna be hitting your lower back, glutes, and legs. That's the only problem, because you're gonna be here, chest support. It's gonna be more isolation. You might even prefer that, so that's fine. But for the second move, you will be able to do that using a Swiss ball. I'm jumping around a lot. So I'm gonna show you the first move, and then I'll show you what you can do with the Swiss ball. So what we're gonna do here is you're gonna pick your weights, something not too heavy that you're gonna be like rounding. So enough weight that it's gonna pull you down, but you also gotta be able to row it. So get your good position, squeeze your butt, squeeze your hamstrings. Everything's pretty much tight so that you stay in this position. You're gonna come down, you're gonna grab your weights, which makes this part a lot heavier, and we're just rowing from here. Holding that static hyperextension. So you're gonna feel this in your legs, your butt, your lower back, and then obviously working our lats and mid back as well. Now the second part of the movement is you're gonna lighten the weight dramatically, and we're gonna do W's. We've done these on shoulder day, targeting our rear delts, traps, teres major and minor, all the little baby accessory muscles. So I'm gonna just use little 10-pound plates. So you'll be in that same position, lighter weight, squeeze your glutes, hamstrings, and then we're just coming up and making a W with your arms. So it's basically like a reverse fly, but keeping our elbows bent the whole time. Now, if you don't have this, you can, however, do this same movement, which will add in that hyperextension part of it. All right, place your ball by a wall so that you're not kind of moving. You don't have to like wiggle around the whole time. So keep your feet against the wall. grab your plate. And same thing here, I want you extending up. So squeeze your butt, hamstrings, and then you're just gonna be up here. So now you'll feel that lower back really targeting, and then you do your W's from there. So you're just making a W with your arms. So keep those like right angles. So instead of a fly out this way, it's basically, it's almost like you're doing like a lateral raise machine. So elbows are bent. So hitting those traps, rear delts, teres major and minor. I want to throw this at the camera so bad. You're like, boosh! Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment below, and if you enjoyed this workout and you want more, come join me on the DLB Daily. That is my website. I give you my training, this kind of training every single day. Right now we're doing first month through right now we are doing the first month for free, and we are doing an 8-week challenge to start off this new year. 2020 might have been a year for you, but 2021 is going to be our year. So come join me, DLB Daily. I'm going to give you your training. That is step number 1. And join me and join the challenge. Purpose. Find your purpose, and let's kick 2021 in